Good morning. Happy Friday. I wanted to share some things about perhaps why you're not seeing progress or why you're not getting the results that you're getting, and the importance of certain things in life that's going to help not just your overall strength and fitness, but really just how you're showing up in life, because it has to do with rest and hydration and nutrition and fitness. And so that affects all things. Like, it affects our brain power, it affects our energy levels, it affects how we feel in our gut. And I'm so excited because I had a conversation last night with a couple experts, and we're setting up a summit for May all around nutrition. And it's going to be like nutrition and how it fuels your entire body, like how it affects your gut, it affects the build and repair of your tissues and muscles and bone, and all things to do with like brain fog, memory, all that. So super exciting for that. But really, like, all of our fitness, hydration, nutrition, sleep, rest, recovery, all of that has so much to do with like our overall wellness, and then how we're showing up for our kids, for our significant others, for our businesses, for our workplaces. And I mean, think of the last time that you were sick and like you didn't feel like doing a damn thing. Or women, like, you're on your menstrual cycle and you just don't feel like even showing up to life. So it's so important, various components. And so I wanted to talk about those today. So first and foremost, I read a great post this morning about, from Mark Carroll. He was talking about how there's so much like clickbait information where it's like to the extremes. Don't have breakfast, like fast until the afternoon, and then, oh, must have breakfast. Like, all these extremes that make you feel like you're doing something wrong. So like, you jump in and participate in that, or you want to know the answers because you have been struggling. And so you feel like, oh, I haven't tried that. So that's all a part of like diet culture. It's all a part of fad dieting. And I'm a firm believer that you get to have balance and that you get to make choices that are good for you. Like, you're an individual. It gets to be based off of your health, your needs, your wants. Like, I was talking to another woman earlier this week who is battling cancer, and she was told by multiple different doctors like she needed animal protein, needed red meat, and then other doctors were like, no, you need to stay away from all animal products, you need to be vegan, vegetarian, whatever. And she's like, I'm just so confused. Like, I'm confused of what like I should be doing, and these are doctors that are telling me. And so I'm like, we get to find a balance just for you. We get to find what works for you. And a lot of that comes down to the tracking. So really, like, understanding that it's not on the extremes. Like, there are going to be things for you that you, if you wake up and you feel not really hungry, you aren't going to be working out until later, okay, postpone your breakfast. I recommend having something at least to get your body going, to show it that it's awake. But there's also a lot of great research about some fasting. So again, like, how are you feeling when you wake up? How do you like operate through the day? What's your energy levels like? And that's part of being in relationship with a coach, is we get to dive into what does your day look like, and what have you been doing? What hasn't worked? What has worked? We get to evaluate the whole situation and really personalize it for you. So one of the things, the first thing that I'd like to talk about is just that, like, it doesn't have to be on the extremes. It doesn't have to be confusing. It gets to be supportive to you and reasonable and sustainable. Like, for me, it is not reasonable to cut out all carbs, because not only do I understand the nutritional value of carbs, but I train and I need energy. And that's where it comes from, is eating those carbs. And so for me, I also know that I would not be able to avoid that for the rest of my life. So it's not sustainable for me because of the choices that I want to make. So then I just get to make choices around carbs that are healthy for me and are good for me. And so same thing for you. Like if we get into a coaching relationship, like I'm going to support you on what works best for you and not just what's going to give you a quick fix for this week or this month or whatever that looks like. I'm looking for longevity and sustainability in your life to best set you up to take care of your health. Like this is the long game, not the short game. So in addition to that, it's really important just to understand 2 calories. There's a deficit, most of the time considered a cut. And then there's maintenance, where you're just maintaining where you're at, you're just staying consistent. And then there's bulking, which often happens when people are increasing weight, really training heavy and building muscle, like really looking to grow in various ways. Or somebody who maybe has been in a deficit for so long and is in a reverse dieting phase where now you're building back up those calories, and you could be starting to go into the surplus to rebuild your body, and depending on what your goal is on the other side. So again, part of that is being in relationship with your coach. So calories in, calories out, that's going to have everything to do with whatever goal that you're at. And I often find that my clients are under eating. They don't really know what they're eating, and they're under eating. And so their body has been in this survival mode for long periods of time. And that can actually have great impacts on your results and not be moving you forward towards your goal. So that's one of the things that I work with clients on, is really normalizing and stabilizing your calorie intake and understanding too where you're at. Because on the opposite, on the flip side, is you could be completely overeating and you haven't seen results because you're just continuing to overeat and not really burn through that. So calories in, calories out is very important to understand where you're at and where you're going for your goal. And then understanding too, like how long have you been in that phase? I know personally, I have stayed in a deficit for way longer than what my body needed for results and ended up sabotaging my own results. So again, understanding that and having support to move through, whether you're in a deficit, maintenance, or surplus. So calories in, calories out. Also protein. Protein is super huge for your metabolism, for digestion, for kicking off repair, recovery of all of your tissues, muscle, bone, skin, everything. Like protein is what really like serves your body in the most way, as far as like generating that protein synthesis, kicking off for your hormones, all of that. And it's specifically important for women to really get protein, which there's so many misbeliefs about, like, oh, if I eat protein, I'm gonna get bulky. Like, it's really hard to get bulky. Like, you have to put a lot of work into that. And so just by eating protein doesn't just make you bulky. And it's really such like, it's almost such a dig at people who are bulking and who are generating like a lot of muscle and really being strategic with it, because it takes so much effort. So like if you hear anything out of this video, it's really like protein's not going to make you bulky, and you need it for all bodily functions like hormones, digestion, I went to kidneys, which is so impacted by water too, which I'll get to. But all of your body, your brain, your skin, your hair, just even your rest and recovery is dependent on you having that protein. So for women especially, we are so prone to osteoporosis compared to men, that having protein really increases our chance of having good, healthy bone structure and helping us in the longevity of our life as we age, to reduce the chances or the impact of potential chronic disease like osteoporosis. And protein, again, like helps kick off your metabolism, helps with your hormones, helps with all of that really like is a baseline for our weight management. And especially as women, where we're bearing kids, we're carrying stress. All of that is very much impacted by our protein intake. And it's so important to get the proper amount of protein. So don't be afraid of it, consume it. And there's so many different ways. So like if you want to do animal products or vegetarian products, like nuts and etc. There's so many other alternative options. So protein, very important. Hydration. So I mentioned that for a lot of like our organs, our function on our organs. So water, when our body is hydrated, if you think about it, most of our body is made up of water. So if we're dehydrated, then our body isn't functioning in optimal capacity. So that could be our organs, that could be our skin, our hair, it could be saliva production, which is crucial for good oral health and hygiene, being able to digest food. So it's a lot to do with your digestion, flushing out toxins, hydrating our muscles, the repair and recovery. Again, water is essential. Like our body is made up primarily of water. And so when we are lacking water and lacking hydration, then our muscles, our bones, our tissues, all of that isn't getting the proper hydration. I'm not sure even another word for that, but it's not recovering. It's not being filled with what it needs to be. Like water is what makes our body work. Memory is a big thing to do with water. And again, like if you think about how much water like is your brain tissue, memory. So I actually, I worked with somebody on a study about water and how water really takes shape of like it's very shaping to memory and holds memory. And again, like that has no coincidence on the fact that like our body is made of water. And so when you're hydrated, you actually stimulate the memory, because the water that makes up your body is retaining that. And so your brain function, clearing up that brain fog, your mental processing, your decision making, like all of that is affected positively when we are hydrated, and how important it is to really have that water. And movement. So that's the last thing that I'll talk about on this is movement. So think of the fact that like, okay, I go and work out for 30 minutes a day, which is great. Like that is the recommended amount of doing moderate exercise every day. But think about the fact that you have 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes every hour, and you spend 30 minutes of that day moving. But the rest of your day is spent watching TV, sitting at your desk, going to your job where you sit at a desk. You are sitting on the sidelines at the soccer field where your body really isn't moving. It's not really up and functioning. And even as I'm standing here right now and I'm moving my hands and moving back and forth, like I'm stimulating movement in my body and creating active, like my body is active. It's not just still and resting, which has so much impact on metabolism and has so much impact on keeping my energy up. And so if you really think about it, like, okay, you got in the 30 minutes, but what else are you doing during the day? Are you standing up every hour? Are you going for a short walk? Like it doesn't have to be intense. Like, and it's such a misbelief that it has to be intense or it has to be difficult or it has to look a certain way. So my message here is just consider and look at how much time that you're actually down and at rest. And it's great for rest and recovery. And actually, I'm going to touch on that before we end. And so I guess this isn't the last part of this. But really think of like rest and recovery is super important, but so is the movement. And so there gets to be a decent balance between when you're actually taking purposeful rest and sleeping throughout the night for a proper amount of time and allowing yourself from hard, intense physical workouts to recover and repair your muscles. There's a difference between those two. And when your body is just constantly sitting, constantly at rest, again, like think of your blood flow, think of flushing the toxins out of your body, think of, again, like getting up and stretching, getting up and moving, joint health, stretching, like just something to get your body moving and functioning. Again, like creating an awakening feeling of all senses and operations of your body. And so I just invite you to really look at how much are you actually moving your body, because 30 minutes a day only, like, and again, it doesn't have to be an intense workout for 2 hours or anything like that. Like I just invite you to look at, are you getting up every hour to move? Like how long are you sitting at night? How long is your body really sitting in rest? And invite you to see that the 30 minutes really is just such a small portion. And that again, that could be significantly affecting whatever results that you're going after, because it's such a small blimp of time in your life per day. And so I invite you to really think about like, how are you moving? And it can be as simple as just getting up throughout the day and, stretching or moving, doing, some active drills at your desk, whatever that looks like. And so while we're talking about that, the rest and recovery periods, like you get to sleep, you get to sleep every day. And it's so beneficial for your brain processing, brain recovery, just repairing itself, especially from everything that we go through in a day. I was told the other day there's something like 86,000 thoughts or something that your brain is processing in a day minimum. And I'm like, man, like I can only think of what mine is because I'm constantly like thinking and processing. I'm such an analyzer. So I'm getting even more information retained and processed through my brain that it's crucial to sleep and recover and rejuvenate our brains. Also just for your tissue repair, muscle repair, really getting your body into that deep sleep for recovery, ensuring that you're having enough sleep to be in REM, and even core sleep, where that's really important for just overall body recovery. So sleep is a must. Like you got to be getting sleep. It's recommended 7 hours a night. Again, I've seen studies between 6 and 9 hours. So again, 7's kind of that mid-range. And again, what like looks best for you. And sometimes it's so odd to go from like not sleeping to sleeping a whole bunch. And so consider like what that looks like for you, and build that up if you're a super, not long at all sleeper, if you've been getting 3 to 4 hours. But again, that can have detrimental impact on any of your progress or bodily function. And it also allows your body to recover like all of your organs, to repair, to really balance out. So sleep is so important. That goes with the recovery. So like, again, going back to movement, understanding that not every day has to be and shouldn't be a super intense, elaborative workout or intense movement pattern. Like you just get to move. And sometimes that recovery is meditation. Sometimes it's just walking. Sometimes it's endurance. Sometimes it's cardio. Like, again, the extremes. People are so fascinated with like, oh, I got to do endless cardio to see fat loss. Like, not really. That's a myth. And so again, finding that balance between sleep and recovery and being active. So that's also equally as important, to give your body rest and balancing that with how active you are. So in summary, calories in, calories out, super important. Protein, extremely important. Hydration, paramount. Sleep and recovery, balanced with movement, will determine how well it's operating. All of it together is what contributes to your overall health and well-being. And it's crucial to really address all of those areas. And if one of those areas is lacking, it bleeds into another area and again can affect your results. And so this conversation really goes back to progress and seeing the results that you want to have. So if you have any questions, the best thing to do is just ask. You can drop them here in the comments, or you can DM me and I'm happy to chat with you on the side. Again, it's just really important for like, what's your goal? And some of it's super confusing because just as I started out this video, there's a lot of information that's out there of the extremes and on one side or the other. And I'm a firm believer in balance, non-restriction, and really finding what works for you. And again, that goes back to like the relationship that we have, coach-client, and being there for you to support you and motivate you in finding what works the best for you. It's really personalized for you. And that's the key. So if you do have questions again, or you have comments, you'd like to dispute anything that I said, I'm always down to have a conversation. Put it in the comments, send me a DM, and I'd love to hear from you. I'll be sharing more tips and tricks, so stay on the lookout for that. And happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.